Hello everyone, this is Abigail Barella with Sparkling Shine Guidance, and I wanted to come to you to talk about the new moon in Aries. Now, this is later than I typically do my new moon analysis or astrology reading, but this week has been super intense, and it's caused me to have to wait on coming to you live. I also just got done with a four-day training that is free and is, hi, if you're just joining me, a free training that's up through the link in my profile. So I've been doing that, and that will be available through this whole next week. So if you wanted to do a free training with me, I have a 4-day training that's up through the link in my profile that's all about divine alchemy and the 4 Ds of divine alchemy. So if you're interested in that, check that out. That link's in my profile. It's completely free. Hi, if you're just joining me, let me know. Type it in the chat. Let me know if you're feeling this new moon energy. This new moon in Aries, it comes to us later in the Aries season. Hi, if you're just joining me, type it in the chat. Let me know if you're feeling the new moon vibes. If you stay on, I am going to be pulling cards for people, but that'll be after I do all the stuff. So the new moon in Aries, one of the things that we know is that the astrological new year starts at the equinox. It starts when that sun moves into Aries. Now, when we get this new moon in Aries, from a lunar perspective, this is starting a whole new cycle as well, because Aries is the first sign in the zodiac. Now, when we have a time where we had the equinox back in March, but then we had this, waiting for this new moon, we had such a long period of time there was so much integrating that was happening. And this is something that I'm seeing with clients and myself and my friends, that we're coming out of a collective cocoon energy. This happens every spring. But for many of us, we're coming out of this cocoon time period with less friends, less community, less family, less people who are willing to meet up with us, less opportunities for that ebb and flow of energy. And for many of us, there's grief associated with this time period that we've been in for the last, year and a few months. So it's really important that we had this delay from the equinox, when we're supposed to be like unfurling, coming out into the world, and this new moon in Aries, which is setting a whole new cycle emotionally. Wherever Aries, 22 degrees of Aries is in your chart, this is a whole new cycle it's setting. And because it's the lunar new year of astrology, there's the lunar new year that we consider in Chinese medicine or Chinese culture, but astrologically, this is the first new moon because it's in the first sign of Aries. And so because of that, you want to look where 22 degrees of Aries is for you, because it's going to be, hi, if you're just joining me, stay on and type your first name into the chat if you want me to pull a card for you for the new moon energy. But look at your chart, look at where 22 degrees of Aries is, because it's going to give you such good information about how this new cycle is going down. There's lots of things that we have been going through. So Mercury just went over Chiron. Mercury is the planet of communication, processing, thinking, how we digest things, information, energy, things that come at us. Mercury is how we process that. Mercury, if you look in your chart, it is the little, what are those called? Like that stick figure with the 2 antennae, and it's like how things come in and how we process them. So yeah, if you're just joining and you want me to pull a card at the end, type your name in the chat. I'll probably have to scroll up, which I think I can do. And so because of that, Mercury, our processing planet in Aries, which is the warrior of the archetype of the zodiac, it's also the archetype of the warrior, and it's also the archetype of our aura, like what we put off into the world, like when people meet us, what they first feel from us. And so when we're going through a time period where that archetype is highlighted, we typically will have changes and working with that energy and shifting our identity. So the identity work is really important to do at this time. Now, Mercury is our processing planet. When it's in that spiritual warrior archetype of Aries, we're going to be processing things alongside the fact that it just went over Chiron in Aries. Chiron in Aries. So if you have Chiron in Aries in your birth chart, you're going into your Chiron return, which is a massive time period. But for all the rest of us, when we have Mercury going over Chiron, it's going to highlight our inner wounds, our deepest, oldest wounds, our Achilles heel, our weaknesses. And it also highlights, because Mercury is processing, it helps us to process and heal those wounds and to step into our healing and how we can help others, which is why you should check out Divine Alchemy. The free 4-part training is up in my profile if you're interested in that energy medicine training with me, because this is the time to do it, okay? And so Chiron is our wounded healer. So it's where we're wounded, but also where we can offer healing to others. So right now, that process has been happening. Another archetype that's involved in this is the mother archetype, the mother of Persephone, Ceres, and she has to do with abundance and loss. So looking at in our lives where we've lost, and I was talking about this, like loss of community, loss of friendships, people that we thought we could count on, our family having issues with like growing and learning together. And look at what you've gained too, because for as much as you've lost in this last year, you have gained so much. And so this time period really requires us to have gratitude and kind of digest and be with what we've lost and what we've gained. And from that place, come into expansion about what we want to bring in, what experiences we want to bring in, what friendships and community we want to bring in, because right now is the opportunity for that. Because as I said, Aries is how we're identifying with the world. And if we have things that are on desire for us around our identity and around how we want to interact with each other, it's really important to harness that energy right now. So again, look to where 22 degrees of Aries is in your birth chart to know specifically where you're setting intention and where this new astrological lunar time period of newness is wanting to sow those seeds, because this is the fertile ground for sowing those seeds for this whole next year. And the other piece to this is, I was like, it was right there. Oh, I just did a post on looking at if your desires are coming from a place of ego, of fear, or looking at if your desires are coming from a place of trust and expansion, and that's your soul desires. And so this is also a time period to really get clear on where you've been driven by soul in the past and where you've been driven by ego in the past, and knowing the difference so that you can redirect and realign with your truth. So that's pretty much this energy. We also have, what's going to happen is when the sun moves into Taurus, which I'm not going to talk about that right now because we'll get into that later on. But what's going to happen is we're going to have the sun coming over Uranus, which is massive shifts and aha moments and changes. Right now, though, we are in the desire part, the opening to potential. And because Venus is conjunct this new moon as well, she has to do with our desires and how we're magnetizing things to us. So I have this really amazing new moon meditation that I did like a decade ago that I'll have to go back and find it, because I was feeling like I want to re-listen to that, where we're talking about our intentions from a place of already being in that energy and already being in that emotional place, and really from that gratitude building even more. Okay, so with this new moon, really try to take some time and space to journal, to look at where you're wanting to release and kind of be with the grief that's come up in this last year, where you want to build and magnetize, and really thinking about whatever you're trying to magnetize, if it's a partner, if it's a friend, if it's, community, are you currently in the energy that would meet that requirement for that friend, for that community, for that partner? And that's where the alignment work comes in. So that's really where we're at right now. We also have a square to Pluto with this new moon, bringing up the deeper subconscious things. This is why a lot of people are having deep dreams and processing work, looking at places where you've lost power in your life, or where you maybe even in past lives. A lot of people are talking about past life dreams or family of origin dreams, dreaming about, your grandmother that you haven't thought about in a few years, or whatever. This processing work is coming up to allow us to do that deeper work and that deeper